Wow, stories.
Am I the idiot for telling my child's daycare teacher that my child won't finish cleaning up? My 2-year-old daughter has been in a home daycare for a few months now. The teacher, Sasha, is very nice. I am normally all for my daughter cleaning her own messes. However, I find when I arrive, Sasha expects my daughter to finish cleaning up whatever she was playing with. Which again would be fine, but it delays us getting out the door and heading home. Sometimes we have plans, etc. I started texting Sasha when I was so many minutes away, asking her to get my daughter ready, and that seemed to work. My daughter would be in her jacket and reading a book, easy to put away versus a huge Duplo project or similar. Until today. Things were crazy and I was in a rush. We had a lot to do this afternoon and I was running behind because I had car trouble. When I arrived, my daughter and some friends were in the middle of cleaning up a big mess. I told my daughter that we had to go and get her coat. Sasha said she needed to finish cleaning up her part. I said any other day, sure, but I am running late and we cannot miss this appointment. Sasha tried arguing that the kids need to learn responsibility, and I flat out said no. I grabbed my daughter, put her coat on, and left. As I said, it was a hectic afternoon, so I only just now had time to check my texts. I had one from Sasha saying poor planning on my part doesn't mean I can break rules. I pointed out this is not in the contract and I can bring my child home whenever I need to. She accused me of undermining her authority. I was given a verbal warning, which I found ridiculous. Am I an idiot? Not an idiot. The daycare should switch to quick cleanup activities for her around pickup time. Unless you arrive at wildly different times every day, it should be pretty easy. The teacher should be more proactive. It's not fair for parents to wait while a kid cleans up a mess they made under someone else's care at 2 years old. Maybe when they are older, but for a 2-year-old, it is the caregiver's choice what they do really. I'm all for teaching cleanup and not letting parents undermine you to a point, but they have to work with you. You're an idiot, also very short-sighted. You're using a home daycare. If the provider doesn't like you, you will lose your spot, and probably without enough notice to find somewhere else. Play nice with the people you rely on, or you will have more to complain about than a hectic afternoon. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to stop cooking with meat spices at my dad and stepmom's house? I like cooking. When I'm with my mom, stepdad, I cook a lot with my stepdad's mom, my step-grandma. But when I'm at my dad's stepmom's house, 1 weekend a month plus some holidays and summers, things are different. My stepmom is not a good cook. I'm sorry, but she's not. She has sensory issues. She doesn't cook meat, barely any spices, and a bunch of other things. She also just undercooks, overcooks, undersalts, all of that. In the past, I've kind of tried to help her and cook with her and been like, what if we add lemon? But first of all, she doesn't like my input. She wants to do things her way. And second of all, there's sensory issues, so she doesn't want to cook differently than she does. If she ate what I made, she would not like it. At their house, my stepmom only cooks foods that she's comfortable with, which since my dad never cooks, means any home-cooked meal is something she eats. She doesn't care what any of us eats when she's not around, like at a friend's house or takeout. Officially, if we're at a restaurant or if I make my own food for dinner, she also doesn't care. Like if we all go to a restaurant, they wouldn't stop me from ordering a burger. But she would be kind of uncomfortable. Not mad, just uncomfortable. For her, it's the smell mostly, but it's also kind of a mental thing, IDK how to explain it. She is in therapy. That's why I think she's able to pretend like it's okay. But because it bothers her, what would happen is that my dad would order vegetarian, their kids, 3, 4, would get something like kid-size grilled cheeses, and I would maybe order a chicken burrito instead of a steak. Or like if my dad got takeout, he would throw away the bag in the downstairs trash or leave it in his car so she didn't have to smell it. I've been cooking more and more. I like cooking and do it a lot at home, but like I said, her food is so bad that's also a motivator. I eat meat and also cook with spices and strong flavors. But my dad came into my room last night and said, out of courtesy, could I stop cooking so much and try to eat what I was served more? I said to my dad that her food was both bad and boring. I wouldn't say this to her face, obviously. And yeah, I could make blender food that's more safe, but what's the point? The food is for me, not an idiot. I do feel like there is a compromise somewhere here. Since you all have to live in the same space and both want to be comfortable there, maybe you cook a little less, or if there is a particular smell, she absolutely hates to avoid that. Or let her know in advance when you're cooking meat so she can take a walk. I don't think you should have to eat bland, undercooked food that you don't like all the time. However, you should be considerate of the other people around you to an extent. Not an idiot. Tell your dad if she hates it that much, he's free to not have you over one weekend a month anymore, and ask if her being a child is worth not seeing his kid. If the answer is yes, then you don't need to worry about your dad's new wife anymore, and make sure he knows he's choosing her over you if that's the case. Really twist the knife on it. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for demanding my stressed partner join me for our first scan? My partner started a new job earlier this month. I'm 12 weeks pregnant with baby #2, and we had our first scan booked about 6 weeks ago. He told me before starting that he had cleared it with his new job. About an hour before our first scan, he called me and told me something had come up at work and he wasn't going to be able to make it to the scan. I burst into tears and told him I needed him there. He ended up coming but was really stressed, not very present, and had thought it was going to be much quicker than it was. Everything was running late with the scan. He had people waiting for him back at work. His phone was constantly ringing and he ended up leaving early to get back halfway through the scan once the heartbeat had been confirmed, but before I got the risk results. I was encouraging him to leave because his don't want to be here energy was stressing me out. I feel a bit cheated out of what was a special moment for us with baby #1, but I also recognize he is under pressure to perform at his new job, and it wasn't essential that he came. After all, during COVID, women had to attend these scans all alone. More importantly, he keeps his job for when the baby is here. Me saying I wanted him there in case anything went badly was maybe too needy and emotionally manipulative, but I didn't know how I'd have handled it. Am I an idiot? You're an idiot. He's trying to provide for your family. If he's at a new job, it's critical that he stands out if he wants to rise higher from his current position, which would provide even more for your family. You didn't need him to be at the scan. I'm not saying you committed some evil crime, but you probably owe him an apology. No idiots here. You had every right to desire your husband to be present, both physically and mentally. It's okay to be disappointed that the experience wasn't as you had hoped. Your husband is also in a probationary period, and attending an appointment when he felt pressured to minimize his time away probably was stressful. Each of you had an opportunity to manage your feelings, disappointment, stress, differently. You each didn't. Cut each other some slack and move on.